Hi, and welcome to my midweek video. Today I'm coming to you from Ready Creek Park, which is one of the little county parks we have here in the city. It's actually not very little. I think it's 140, almost 150 acres, something like that. It's got 10 miles of hiking trails, a lake behind me over here that you can go fishing in. I wouldn't eat any of the fish out of there, but you can go fishing in there. And it's a great little park. It's about, I don't know, 10 minutes from my house. And my kids have grown up in this park. We've come here and played in the field and hiked all the trails. And it's just a great park. And it means a lot to us and to my family and to my kids especially. They have very fond memories of this place. Wanted to be here today because sort of want to talk about this place. Earlier this year, we were hiking one of the trails out there, back there, one of the 5-mile trails. And Sandy kept remarking about how wonderful it was to be back out in nature. It had been a long winter, and how wonderful it was to be back out in nature. And you know, Robert and I sort of looked at her and went, okay. I mean, it's a great park, don't get me wrong. It's 140 acres, but it's basically bordered by roads. I mean, it's still a city park. And so, you know, we were hiking right next to Plaza Midwood Extension. You can see the cars going by and we're like, well, okay, yeah, there's trees and there's dirt to walk on, but it's not very nature. And she goes, well, I don't get to go out like you all do. And I started thinking about that and really, scouting, and you can hear planes going over too. I mean, we're right in a flight path. But scouting has allowed myself and Robert, my son, and even Rebecca, my daughter, to engage in some very cool things out in nature. We've gotten to experience some wonderful sights. We've gotten to walk out into the middle of nowhere and camp, and so that gives us a bit different view of what actually is nature and what's getting away from everything. And she's right, and it reminds me of two things. One, that I need to get Sandy more out and to take her out and go hiking some more, and that we're very lucky to be a scouting family and for me to be able to share that with my kids. And as I was thinking about this, I was thinking about Philmont. And for those of you who don't know, Philmont's a huge scout ranch. It's multiple square miles out in New Mexico in the Rocky Mountains. And we've gotten to go out there twice. I've gotten to take Rebecca and Robert, and then Robert again just this past year. And you go hiking, and you're hiking and backpacking out in the middle of nowhere. You don't see a car for a long time. I think we saw, it's a 12-day trip, and I think we saw cars 2 or 3 miles away when we were up on some ridge, parked somewhere. That was as close as we got to cars in like 5 days, automobiles. So it's out there. I mean, you're out there, and you see some magnificent views. Well, in that 12-day trip, for the first 3 days, they give you a ranger. They call them rangers, and basically the ranger's job is two things. First of all, the ranger is to teach us adults to back off and let the kids lead, and that's the hardest part of his job, or her job, to get the adults to back off and stop trying to micromanage the scouts. And the second is to teach the scouts how to engage and do things on the hike and on the adventure safely in the Philmont way. And so teaching the Philmont method, like I said, teaching the Philmont method to the scouts is a lot easier than teaching us adults to back off. Well, one of the what they do is they're with you for 3 days, and then on that third day, on that final day, when they're getting ready to take off and go back to base camp and leave you, their tradition is to take the crew, that's the group of scouts, and take them to some ridge or some overlook that just overlooks this magnificent view or a wonderful sunset or something. And to talk to the scouts and give the scouts and us leaders one more lesson. And it's one of the most important lessons I think they do at Philmont, to be honest with you. We learn a lot of wonderful things, like how to cook food on the trail, how to stay safe, how to keep away from bears, and just to rely on our own wits. But the most important thing that the Rangers teach us is to take time to notice the beauty that's all around you. To not be so concerned about getting from point A to point B. Yes, that's important. You need to get there before the storms come in the afternoon, but to also take time to look up from your feet, look up from the trail, and see all the wonders that God has placed before you. And that's why they take you to a scenic overlook, and they're like, look at this. You know, this is God's handiwork. It's been placed here just for you to see. And so it's very important to them and to the Philmont organization that, you know, they have 20,000 scouts coming through there, that those 20,000 scouts realize that they are in the midst of beauty, and to take notice of that. And really, that's what Sandy was doing when we were hiking these trails earlier this year. She was noticing the beauty that Robert and I and Rebecca couldn't necessarily notice because it wasn't as beautiful as what we were used to. But it was still beautiful to notice that beauty that is all around. And I think that's a wonderful thing that the Philmont Rangers teach the scouts is to take time to notice that beauty, because the truth of the matter is that we can be walking through the most beautiful forest, the most beautiful part of the land, and we can be concentrating so much on our feet and how the next step, and not tripping and not making a mistake, that we miss it, that we don't see that beauty, that we forget to just sit and look and wonder. And thank God for that gift, that beauty. And it's an important lesson. And I say it's one of the most important lessons they teach us at Philmont, because I think it's an important lesson for life. Because let's face it, life can get busy, it can get hectic. You can start to think that maybe, you know, the only thing that's important is getting from point A to point B, to getting the project done, to making sure that you've got all your ducks in a row before all heck breaks loose. And you can forget to slow down, stop looking at your feet, look up, and take notice of the blessings that God has put in your life, the beauty that God has placed in your life. It's all around you. It could be the worst day of your life. Things could be going wrong everywhere. It could be rainy and nasty outside. But there are still blessings. There is still beauty in that nastiness, in that bad day. And I think that's an important lesson for our scouts to learn in scouting. And I think that's one of the most important things they teach at Philmont, is that you could be having the most god-awful day on the trail, but aren't you lucky to be out there in that beauty and to be able to go out onto a ridge and just look and see the beauty that exists. And it amazes me how God surprises us with that beauty over and over again. I can't tell you how many times I have been out on a hike, or I've been on a camp out, or I've been somewhere out in the wilderness, and I've been worrying about this, that, or the other thing, or I've been walking here trying to get, to the end, trying to just survive. Are these scouts going to wear me out? Am I going to be able to sleep tonight? Oh God, I hope my mattress doesn't have a hole in it. My air mattress doesn't have a hole in it. And I'll come around the corner and there will be this 1,000-mile view. And I'll be like, oh my God, this has been here the entire time and I didn't notice it. Or there's been such a green in the trees. I mean, have you ever looked at leaves, at trees, just looked at them for a long time and noticed the number of different types of green there are in trees? How the leaves sway and move in the wind. These are all wonderful things that you and I can take notice of. These are blessings God has given us. These 1,000 100-mile views, these, wow, I don't know what's going on, but they're having fun. These things that are happening all around us, the blessings, the wonderful family time we have. So as we go into these next few days of living with this coronavirus and trying to figure out how we're going to continue and open and be and trying to get things going back and up and going, maybe it's important for us to also take time to just sit and notice, to take time and be, to see the blessings that God has been placing in front of us the entire time. That's my prayer for you today from Ready Creek Park here in Charlotte, Mecklenburg, that you will notice the blessings and the beauty that God has placed in your life. And maybe thank God a little bit for it. Amen.